am I a bad person for doing what I want to do, for living out my dream?
Oh, that's such a mindfuck.
Have you ever felt like the script you're following doesn't quite fit anymore? Then you're in the right place. I'm Marisela Herrera, and I started Shit I Just Quit My Job after walking away from a job I thought defined me. Forget the highlight reels. Here we talk about the messy middle, the doubts, the detours, and the chaos that come with rethinking who we are. Because the truth is, it was never just about quitting a job. It was about questioning everything I thought I knew. Hi there, lovely humans. Humaning, just out there doing the best you can. Because I think that's what we're all doing, right? The best we can. I just finished editing this episode, and I felt like I had to quickly jump in to record the intro. Not only because I really want to release this episode, but because the conversation was one that really touched me. It was really, I don't know, it was really nurturing. Yeah, nurturing. Nurturing is a good word for what I'm feeling right now. You know, sometimes you meet people, and I have not met my guests actually in person, but sometimes you talk to people and you kind of feel some sort of kinship. You feel like you've known this person for a longer time, or that you can see eye to eye. Maybe that you've gone through some stuff that you can understand. And the first time I talked to Kvon Tucker, who is my guest today, that's kind of how I felt. It was funny because I remember sitting on my couch and feeling like, yeah, like this guy gets it. And my partner was working at my desk, and I came in and I was like, I just had a great conversation. And sometimes when you have such a good conversation at the beginning with someone and then I invite them to the podcast, it doesn't happen very often, but then it might be a little awkward for some reason. In this case, I don't think it was. I actually think it was even better, just deeper. Maybe deeper. Maybe it was the same level of depth. Doesn't matter. It was a really good conversation. It was really honest. And I know I say that, but this one's honest. We both talk about dark times in our lives. I don't usually talk about it, and I do. I open up to him about it here. We talk about fear and courage, and I think there's a transparency and a very clear intention of helping others, or intention to help others, that comes across everything Kvon says. Kvon Tucker is the CEO and founder of Consciously, a purpose-driven coaching and consulting firm. He's worked at some of the largest tech companies, or top tech companies like Netflix, Amazon, Google. And he's also developed a coaching practice to help leaders grow with clarity, with freedom, with purpose. He's helping people liberate themselves. That's the way he sees it. And I think he might be right. I think you're in for a treat today. I really hope this conversation resonates and that it gives you a little bit of the joy that it gave me, and that you take maybe some time today after you listen to this to ask yourself the one question that we talk about in this. Well, actually, we talk about a bunch of questions, but one question that I think is very important. What do you want? What do I want? And to answer honestly, don't censor. What would I do if I was a little bit braver? I know I keep asking myself that. Slowly and surely, I think I'm getting there. And I think part of it that is helping me get there is this podcast, is having these conversations, is being able to meet these wonderful people that I'm meeting. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time. And let's go to my conversation with Kvon. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
The very first thing I remember wanting to be was a heart surgeon. No, I don't remember exactly where I got the idea from, but some part of me wanted to like save lives. Like I really wanted to play a role in saving people's lives. And that to my 6-year-old brain seemed like the best way to help save lives. Funny story is, I think sometime between 6 and 12, I was asked to do a research project on whatever it is that you say you want to do when you grow up. And so I picked heart surgeon. And I realized through that project that if I was going to be a heart surgeon, I was going to need to be in school for like another 32 years or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be in school that long. So maybe it's not heart surgeon. And so from that point on, I let heart surgeon go and then started exploring what else I might want to be. But that was the very first thing that I remember like being pretty clear about wanting to do when I grew up.
Can I just say how you said heart surgeon and clearly my face was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. But then I think about it and like heart surgeon, but heart now in a different way. And I don't know, there's
Yeah.
something there.
I think so. You know what? Thank you for that. It's funny because I identify as like an abolitionist. And in that way, I do play a role in helping people save their own lives. Right? Like I'm not saving anybody's life. I support others to do that for themselves, to get themselves out of situations that they no longer want to be in, to liberate themselves. And so, yeah, in that way. And also the work that I do it's very emotional. I do heart work with all of my clients. And yeah, emotional heart work for sure.
Emotional heart work. Tell me about that term, because I remember from when we talked last time, you also said you were a spiritual abolitionist.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell us more about that.
It's interesting. The first time I started to see myself in that way was after reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer. I don't know if you've read that book. It's really beautiful. I think it's the only novel that he's written, at least the only one I'm aware of. And the book is about abolitionists. It's about abolitionists, and it's just really beautiful. But in that, I started to see, what they're doing, the way in which abolitionism takes place in this book, it's like a magical realism book. The way in which it's happening drew parallels to the work that I think I do with my clients. And so I thought, I'm like, am I an abolitionist? I was like, I'm not physically moving anybody. And so this idea of spiritual abolition came up because I realized that a part of the work that I do is helping people let go of ideas, perspectives, narratives, ways of being that no longer serve them, and help lead them towards their own sense of freedom and their own sense of fulfillment, their own sense of liberation. There are all these energies that people hold on to, or that are given to them, that hold people back from creating the lives that they want for themselves. And so I help people see them and help people release themselves from them. And in that way, I see myself as a spiritual abolitionist.
I really like that. I had never thought of the connection there. And it makes sense because you are helping them liberate themselves from all of this conditioning and structures and, I don't know, ways of keeping ourselves stuck.
Yeah. Fear being the biggest one, right?
Fear, yeah.
Fear being, I think, the most effective tool that keeps people in a state of, we'll call it enslavement, in a state of incarceration, right? Keeps people stuck, helping people move through fear. It's just energy, right? And it can be something that you look at as like some people treat fear like it's a concrete wall. But really, you can just move through it. And once you realize that, then you're free.
I get it. You can see my brain. Like, I get it. But as someone who gets very stuck with fear a lot. It's hard to bring it from like here, and I'm pointing to my head for those who are not seeing this, from your head to actually embodying
Yeah.
that feeling and that consciousness of being able to move forward
It's
and through
work.
it.
It's work and it's practice, right? And there are all these different degrees of fear. There are all these different things that we are scared of. And so if you're a human being, like you are courageous, like you're doing courageous things every day, and that's just the practice of moving through fear. It's like we all do it. There are some things that are like really big in our lives that we're really scared of, and that we end up thinking that we can't do or can't accomplish because of how big the fear is. The work that I do in my coaching and even as a coach, not even as a coach, but even as a CEO, is to help people develop like the capacity. So if there's something that you're really scared of and you can't get beyond it, or you're just finding yourself like having a challenge, what that means is that the fear is bigger than your courage, right? So all we got to do is work on developing your courage. And we can develop your courage and we can get up close to that fear, feel it. Oh, wow, like this is really scary. I don't know if I can move forward. And then explore, okay, what will help you take one small step? And that one small step is the development of courage. And it's okay, great, we took that. How are we still okay? We're still alive? Oh, yeah, but I'm really uncomfortable. It's okay. Maybe we just stay here for a while. That's how you develop your capacity to be with fear and develop your courage. And then it's okay. We ready to take another step? Great, let's take another step. Next thing you know, courage is building and you're moving forward.
Yeah.
But we have to feel it. We have to feel it to be able to move beyond it.
This is such a semantics thing, but as you're talking, it made it click for me that I hear everyone, including myself, say, let go of fear. But you're saying build your capacity for courage, your capacity for being. And I think building something, me at least, sounds more doable than letting go of something. Learning how to let go of something sounds harder.
Yeah. It's work either way.
It's not, I'm not saying it's easy, but
Yeah,
feels more possible somehow.
there there was a time not that long ago when I used to think that like being fearless was like a good thing. I'm no longer convinced. If you're creating change, if you're growing, if you're doing anything that's going to make you uncomfortable, I'm not convinced that fearlessness is a good idea. I think fearlessness can lead to recklessness. And I don't want anybody to be reckless with their bodies, with their minds, with their spirits, with the people around them. I'm not encouraging recklessness. I want us to be aware that, hey, like this thing is scary and it's probably scary for a good reason. So let's move forward intentionally. Let's move forward courageously, and shameless plug, let's move forward consciously.
That's a great word. I love that that's your brand because it's such a good word.
Yeah,
Conscious.
I look at it like creating change is like walking through like a river with some rocks along the way. And oh, yeah, you want to get to the other side. And so if I get to the other side, it's going to be good things for me. But these rocks are slippery. So I'm like, well, okay, we got to get across the river. We want to get across the river. We could go around, but we want to get across this river. So we're going to take steps, but we have to be really thoughtful about these steps. We have to be careful. And yes, there should be fear because there's danger here. We fall in, maybe we get swept up, or maybe we just get wet. Who knows? And that's an important thing to be considered. If we fall in, like, what's the worst case scenario? Do we get swept up and then we're gone? Or do we just get a little wet, which we don't want? And so that's an important consideration. But one way or another, let's try to stay on the rocks. So we got to take our steps forward. We got to do it consciously and courageously.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What made you change your idea or change your mind about fearlessness? Was there something or a moment where you're like, maybe this?
Yeah. I don't know if there was a moment. I mean, there probably was, but I don't remember it. You hear words like fearlessness and popular media. That's the way to be. And it's something some years ago, and I remember this is when I was working at Google, it clicked that maybe that's possible for some people, but courage is really the practice. If I want to help people develop a practice, developing a practice of courage, developing their capability, their capacity around courage, to your point, is like much more practical. It's much more practical. Like people can grasp on, oh, I can develop courage. Like fearlessness, I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I can become more courageous. And so to me, it just seemed much more practical and helpful. And so I've latched on to leading courageously and consciously.
I do want to talk about your journey itself because I reached out to you because I saw a post that really resonated. And I was like, I need to talk to that guy. And thank you for responding, by the way.
My
But
pleasure.
also, it's fascinating. You worked at all of these very well-known large tech companies. How did you even get into tech? Like going, because I talked to you and I'm like how?
How? A short answer, ego. Long answer, can I give you the
Yes.
long story? Yeah. So I got my bachelor's in psychology, my master's in industrial organizational psychology. And if you don't know what that is, it's like psychology of the workplace, human behavior at work. Like the goal of the industry is to help make work like a better place. So I went through my master's program, and in the master's program, I learned about like training and development. I loved learning. In undergrad, I'd taken classes in learning, was fascinated with learning. I got in my master's and was like, oh, training and development. Got my first big boy job doing training and development. And I got into this role, and all of a sudden, I was no longer like working with people, talking to people. I was like crunching numbers. I'm like, this isn't it for me. Like somehow chosen a wrong path if this is what this work is about. Fast forward a few years, I have been doing this work for I don't know how long, and I'm like depressed. I'm absolutely miserable in my role, miserable in my life. I become suicidal and decided that I was finally going to go get some help through the loving nudges of my wife. So I decide to. I get a therapist, start to heal, and through that process, my therapist starts asking me questions I'd never been asked before, like things like, what do you want? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your career? The questions I had never actually been asked before. So I had to sit and think. And what I realized is that what was missing in my career was this sense of connection to people, connection to actually a real connection to the work. So I started exploring, like, what's going to give me this sense of connection? What's going to give me this, the fulfillment that I was hoping that I was going to get through industrial organizational psychology, like really helping work become a better place. So I started exploring manager and leadership development and like facilitation. I had no plans on doing that, but I was like, well, at the very least, I can talk to people about what it's like to be a human being in organizations. Like that sounds like that'd be fun. So I did, and I started facilitating and had some great conversations talking about connection between managers and the direct reports, and that blossomed into me doing a couple workshops and then going all the way into like multiple day programs. And I was like, oh, this is amazing work. And realizing that like when you talk to leaders, you're able to influence them as leaders and support them to become more effective leaders, which then makes organizations like much more positive work environments, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm like making a difference, and I'm having the kind of conversations I want to have. And as I'm learning how to become a leadership development facilitator, like I'm doing my studies, right? So I'm like reading all the leadership books. It's like reading voraciously. If there's a leadership book out there, I read it or I listened to it. I was in this phase where I was just consuming so much. I was reading multiple books a week, listening to multiple books. I was just consuming so much, learning about leadership. And Google was one of those places that had been known for having created this like very kind of world-class organization, culture and structure. And I held it at this, on this very, very high pedestal of places I would love to work at one day. So that I could learn more about the culture and like how people do leadership, because they were setting the standard at the time. I'd read this book called Work Rules by Laszlo Bock, and I was like, wow, they're doing some really cool stuff. I'm gonna work there one day. That was my goals, 2014, 2015. I'm gonna work at Google one day. started sharing my perspectives on leadership on LinkedIn, and then out of nowhere, a recruiter from Netflix just emails me. And
I
says,
was going to ask if this was while you were at Netflix, because I literally wrote down the world-class culture Netflix question mark, because
yeah,
they're also known
they're
for,
also known for that. And
right?
so I'm at Southern California Edison, my bachelor's, master's from Cal State Long Beach. Like there's no fancy schools here or anything. I just came out of a suicidal depression, and then Netflix hits me up, says, "Hey, do you want to come interview for a job?" And I'm like, "What? Me? How'd you find me?" Thought it was spam. Told my wife. I saw the email. I'm like, "Babe, I got an email from this person. They say they work at Netflix. Should I respond?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." So I respond. Turns out to be a real job. I end up getting it. And I took it not because I actually had ever really wanted to work at Netflix, though it's an amazing place. They're also known for their culture and their leadership. But I looked at it as a step towards Google. I'm like,
Interesting.
okay, now I'm in tech. I
Right.
wasn't in tech before. Now I'm in. Wasn't crazy about the job, but like I learned a lot. I got to soak up the culture. I got to see their leadership. I got to be in the same room as Reed Hastings. It's an amazing experience. Right? I got to go to all the fancy company parties. I was like, this is amazing. But I wasn't in love with the place. I wasn't in love with the work that I was doing. And then while I was starting to get a little disillusioned by the work that I was doing, Amazon hits me up, right? So now I have Netflix on my resume and Amazon. Now I'm in tech, right? So I'm in the foray, and they offer me a role that I couldn't say no to. Pay wasn't great. It was Amazon. I was not a fan of Amazon, but the opportunity to do the work that I was doing, I was a leadership development facilitator, like a partner. I got to travel the world and facilitate leadership development for leaders from manager all the way up to VP. I got to coach leaders who were operating at extremely high scale. Like these are things again, I'm like, black kid, grew up in Anaheim, went to Cal State Long Beach. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm having a great time. It was a great job. Honestly, it was a great job, life-changing experience for me. While I was there, get an email from a Google recruiter. I'm like, babe, this is it.
You made it.
This is the job. I got to get this job. So I ended up getting the job. And then, what was that? So it was 2015 when I first got contacted by Netflix. And then 2018, I get contacted by Google. I end up taking the job. So 3-year journey. And I got, had my dream come true. And so that's how I got to Google. Yeah. I know that's a long version, but
No,
you asked for it. You asked for it.
I'm happy you gave us that version, because there's so much richness in it, even if you're just telling the story. But I have so many questions.
Sure.
First off, thank you for sharing about being in a suicidal depression, because I don't think people talk about that. I know what that's like. I've been there. It sucks, but if you get through that, you pretty much can do anything, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. I think there's a lot more need to share
I
those
think so
experiences.
too. I was just talking to a client today, like just before talking to you, and I shared that. They've known this about me. I don't share a lot, but they know this about my journey, and I see it now as a gift. I see it as a gift in so many ways, like we talk about hitting rock bottom and then needing to climb out. The climb out makes you really strong,
Yeah.
and it gives you perspective. And so now I chose life, and I get to choose life for the rest of my life. And I developed all these different capabilities and capacities and perspectives along the journey out.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I think for me, a lot of it too is it makes you so much more like, I know myself so much more, and I am able to check on myself so much more, because I'm always conscious of, I don't ever want to go back into such a dark place,
Yeah.
that it's there in the back of your head somewhere.
Never again.
Right.
Never again. And that's also how it's been a gift, right? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to focus on continuing to climb
Right.
and get as far away from that place as I possibly can. I'm never going back.
Yeah.
I'm never going back.
Yeah, I feel you. So that I wanted to say. I also wanted to ask about Netflix. You said you didn't like the job. And I'm curious, because you also said when you started going into leadership L&D within a company or within an organization? Because you started less connecting with the people and more doing the like metrics and number. Was that the same case? Was that what you
Yeah,
were missing?
that was what I was hired to do. I knew that.
Uh,
And shout out to my manager at the time. She didn't know that I hated the work that I was hired to do. I took the job because it was a foot in the door.
yeah.
I
You
did
had a
my
plan,
best. Yeah, I had a plan. I had a vision.
a vision. That's
I
a
had a,
better way of saying
I
it.
had a vision. I was like, look, I'm going to take this job. I can do it, but my heart's not in it. I knew that going in. I did my best. My manager knew that my heart wasn't in it. Probably 6 to 12 months after me being there, she's like, you seem to want to talk about manager and leadership development. Like, you really light up when you do this kind of stuff, but like, I need you to do your job. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying. And then fortunately, Amazon gave me an out where I could actually do work that I really want to do. Now, the environment was less ideal. I was not crazy about the work environment at Amazon, but the work itself, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
I wrote down that you said I couldn't say no to it. Like that was, I think you said about Amazon. And it's really interesting to me because sometimes we go into things thinking, I couldn't say no to this because it was such a, I don't know, shiny thing that I thought I wanted. And in your case, in Amazon, it worked out. Like it was something you wanted to do and you were happy about it. But I don't know, it made me think, like, when is that really us and when is that because of how
Yeah.
it looks or because
Well,
of
yeah, like
the
I said,
ego or,
yeah, you asked me how I got into tech. Ego, right?
right.
Ego was a part of this whole thing. Like the getting to Google was part purpose, part ego. Right? So I just wanted to work for this company that was known for being great and what meant something to me. If I'm working at Google or even Amazon or Netflix, like I'm working with the best and the brightest in the world, right? And like I wanted to be a part of that. My ego wanted to be a part of that, right?
Pesky.
Yeah. And so I took the job at Amazon knowing full well that like Amazon was a problematic place when I started there. Since become a more problematic place. But it was a problematic place when I started there. I supported AWS, which was like the fastest growing business like ever.
Yeah.
Growing like a weed, right? But I had a choice, right? I'm at Netflix. I'm doing work that I don't want to do. My manager's aware of it. And I'm in this environment that I love. Like I actually really enjoyed the culture at Netflix. But then I have this opportunity at Amazon where it would be doing work that I'm really excited to do in an environment that's like kind of questionable, but at a scale that was actually very exciting. I was like, man, this is a huge company. I'd be able to connect with so many different leaders.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be in the room facilitating with like hundreds of leaders if I take this job. I'm gonna be able to travel the world if I take this job. So I could stay in Los Gatos, California, with my manager like on my ass. Or I could go see what's possible up in Seattle, Washington, which I had never been to before, in this very expansive role, doing work that sounds super exciting.
Yeah.
So I took that
You
opportunity.
can't say no.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
after
it
going
makes
back
sense,
and
though.
after going back and forth with my wife again. So my wife is a huge like reason why I would have said no to Netflix and Amazon if it weren't for my wife. And she's like, "No, you're taking these
For
jobs.
her.
You're
Well,
taking."
good for you.
Yeah, it's good for us all. Our marriage is good for us all. Yeah, I would have said no to both because it was like such huge change and I was so scared. But she was like, "No, you're gonna take the job at Netflix." I'm like, "Okay." She's gonna take the job at Amazon. I want to see what Seattle's like. I'm okay, let's go. And then when Google came, it was a no-brainer for us both.
Of course.
This is
Yeah.
what all the work has been for. But it was great. It was a great opportunity. 18 months at Netflix or 18 months at Amazon was more than enough for me. I had my fill.
And tell me about Google because I know this was your vision. This was where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
But from what I know from your story, didn't end up that great.
The ending was a little the ending was a little sour. Didn't end the way I wanted it to. I don't know. You never really have. I don't know how many people have like ideal exits from any company. You
I bet
know.
You know, I've been thinking about that because I was listening to some podcasts and they were saying how it's always the impression you take from something is like the ending. And that's kind of sad in a lot of ways because a lot of the endings aren't great. Like, they're not normally great
No, not normally, right? Somebody's gonna be hurt. You
in some
end
way.
anything, somebody's likely gonna have some unsavory feelings. You know, the role that I had at Google was amazing. While I worked there, I genuinely like loved working there for the vast majority of the time. The people at Google, to me, are just some of my favorite people I've ever worked with. They're just beautiful, open-hearted. I supported the recruiting organization. I was head of management and leadership development for Google's recruiting organization, and working with recruiters, like recruiters are like people.
Yeah.
That was like my first time in my career where my primary client were people. That was a beautiful
Yeah.
experience. Because they just want to talk and connect, and they want to be great managers of people. And I'm like, great, because that's my job. And so there was just a lot of alignment between me and the group of leaders that I was there to support, or the group of managers that I was there to support. And then I got to connect with all these other amazing leaders who worked in manager and leadership development across the organization. Like, the thing that was ended up being true about Google, at least while I was there, is that Google does a really good job at hiring great people. Like, nobody's perfect. There's a healthy amount of hyperachieverism, perfectionism. There are lots of saboteurs, but that's because people are people.
People are people.
But I think Google hires really well-intentioned people. And so for that, like, great experience. Like, the work there, I loved what I was doing there, supporting the managers. It just, again, lots of alignment. It was the exit and how I ended up exiting that was far less than how I wanted to go out. But overall, I loved working at Google.
Tell me about that exit. Actually, I know that while you were at Google, you were also coaching, though.
Yeah.
And it seems like you had a full-time job, like
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, you were building this practice. And I've been reading a lot on Substack and talking to a lot of people that I feel lately, and I don't know if it's the state of the world or what it is, there are a lot of people that are tired of the corporate structures, but are like, I'm doing my job, but I also, at the same time, I'm trying to do this other thing. That's what I would really like to do. So, want to hear your experience with it and how it was for you.
So I'll share, I'll take a couple steps back if I may. Because my coaching journey started back in like my very first job. One of the people who helped me learn how to facilitate leadership development got me to go to coaching training. That was way back in 2015. Went to coaching training, was like, oh, this is my future, right? So that was also a part of my vision was I'm gonna make coaching a larger part of my life. I don't know how, I don't know when, but like it's gonna happen. So from 2015 all the way to Google, I was building my practice. When I got to Google, Google has this amazing benefit where they like reimburse you for thousands of dollars of personal development, personal professional development. So I was like, well, now I can get this coaching certification and have like 70% of it paid for. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I got certified. I started it in 2019, finished it in 2020, 2 months after shutdown. So now I'm a certified coach. I have a couple clients, and I'm working from home. I've got no one looking over my shoulder. So I start to build my practice. And so I was able to kind of just shave some time during the day. I want to be honest, I tried to keep most of my coaching hours like after Google. And I could do that. I didn't have a lot of clients, so I would take most of my clients like at 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30. And I did that for almost a year before my daughter was born. So my daughter was born March 5th, 2021. So we're like a full year into pandemic and quarantine.
God.
And I had made
What time? Sorry.
it was a wild time.
Wow.
It was a lot happening. There's a lot happening. I told myself that by the time I became a father, I was no longer going to be a full-time employee. And my wife and I had these conversations. She was already like doing her thing as a psychotherapist and working part-time, making really good money. And I was like, man, that looks great. I want that. Like, I got this full-time job, but now I have a daughter. Fortunately, I'm on paternity leave. So I don't have to go to work every day. But I don't know, how am I going to get through this period where I have paternity leave and then my daughter is still a baby? Like, how am I going to make this happen? And so that was March. She was born, I want to say 3 to 4 months after that, while I'm still on paternity leave. I had large opportunity consciously come to me to support 20 directors and VPs at a startup. So I had 13 clients. Like half of them were at Google, so it's like not really getting paid extra for them, and then half of them were external. It's just really kind of starting my career. 13 clients, good practice, but it wasn't making me a lot of money. I had 33 clients overnight. I went from 13 to 33 overnight. And then the income more than tripled.
Right.
So now I'm making good money. I'm on paternity leave and I'm coaching all the time. 2 months after that, like roughly 2 months after that, I had another corporate contract land in my lap, which was like an additional 12 leaders. I couldn't coach 50 people, even if I wanted to. So I started calling some friends. Hey, I was like, I got this opportunity. You want to come coach these leaders with me? This is all while I'm still on paternity leave. I'm doing this and I'm stretching my paternity leave. I'm using all the opportunities I have. Fortunately, Google is very generous with their benefits. They have this thing called carers leave, which is like if you need to take care of people, someone, like you can take more time. I need to take care of my daughter, so I'm going to call in carers leave. So I'm coaching part-time. I'm a full-time dad, full-time coach, developing CEO, have a coach at the time. At some point towards the end of the year, I basically run out of options to stall my return back to Google. I was literally like unpaid time off. Like I didn't need to make money because I was making more
Right.
as a coach than I was making at Google. So I'll just take unpaid time off. And then eventually like, they had a new manager come in. And new manager was like, Kvon, you got to come back. I'm like, all right, I'll come back. Talk to
Can
my,
I
yeah, sure.
can I ask before we jump into that? What do you think was stopping you? Like knowing that you had that financial freedom, like you were making more money, you were doing the thing you loved. And I don't know if your vision was always to eventually quit and do this full time, or if by that point you still, like, why hadn't you embraced it? I don't,
Yeah, imagine the answer is fear.
yeah,
The
we
answer
can
is
come back to
fear.
that.
Yeah, the answer is fear. It's like this is from March, brand new baby, middle of pandemic, to December. This is a 9 month time frame. All this has happened. I became a father and I became a full-time coach. This is all very new. As I reflect, I didn't trust it. It was all new.
Mm,
I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust that this thing was going to work out. It was all brand new. Like, I got all these clients. Maybe they disappear tomorrow. I
yeah.
don't know. The likelihood of them disappearing now, I realize, is very, very low. Like all your clients will not disappear overnight. But I didn't know that at the time, but it was so new. It was so new. I didn't trust it. And so I went through this back and forth with my coach and my therapist. My coach was like, Kvon, you're gonna go back. They're asking you to come back. And I'm like, I guess I gotta go back. He's like, okay, well, how are you gonna do your job? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna try to move some people around, try to move them to the end of my days, but I still had 20, no, like 30 or 40 clients. That's like 20 hours of work
It's a
between.
lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot. So I let go of some clients. I go back. I do my best to do my job and show up to meetings that I'm being asked to show up to, but I don't do a great job. I just couldn't. I'm remote. I was already looking and exploring, thinking about moving to Costa Rica. My wife and I were already kind of like on our way out because we could see that this could be the end of my time at Google, but we hadn't made the decision yet. And it was when I was actually in Costa Rica. Well, actually, I take that back. It was before we had taken a trip. Before we had taken a trip, we were going to Costa Rica to explore moving here full time. And right before we were going to take this trip, I got an email. I got an email from some person I never met that basically said, hey, we have seen some activity of yours online and we have some questions.
Someone at Google.
Someone at Google. So next thing you know, I'm under investigation. And this is this was the beginning of the end, like the clear end for me, because I'm someone who had dedicated my whole professional career, my life, to serving others, to supporting people, to do whatever it is that they want to do, to live their lives, to become the leaders, make positive impact at work. And now my integrity is being questioned. I didn't go back to that place where I was, in 2013, but it was a very, very, very challenging time for me. It's like it had me questioning myself, questioning my morals and questioning my values. Like, am I a bad person for doing what I want to do, for
God.
living out my dream?
Oh, that's such
Yeah.
a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Like knowing that you're not doing anything that's against your integrity and your morals, but having someone like say something that makes you even question it, it it's such a mind fuck.
It was tough. It was, I'm doing what I believe is best for myself, for my family. And the reality is, this is a hindsight, right? The system didn't like that.
Of course.
The system didn't want me doing what's best for me. The system wants me doing what they think is best for the company, because that's what they care about, right? That's the entity they care about. They don't care about Kvon. They don't care about Kvon's dreams or
Right.
wants and wishes. They care about optimizing their investment in the work that I was doing. So, like, I kind of understand the investigation at this point, but it still felt terrible. And it still threw me for a loop. I went back and forth with my wife, with my therapist, with my coach. Like, what's happening? I had multiple breakdowns and breakthroughs throughout that process. And then it was sometime around after we had come back from Costa Rica, we were pretty clear that we wanted to move to Costa Rica. So I'm like, okay, we're going to move to Costa Rica. Job's got to go. I don't need it financially. I'm going to have to trust that my clients aren't going to all leave me overnight. And that if some of them do, that I can get new clients and I can build this business. And so I chose to quit my full-time job on my daughter's first birthday. So that's what I did. And so I did my best to keep my promise to not be a full-time dad and a full-time employee.
You did. Ugh, I have so many questions. Where do I want to start? First off, I do want to say I get the fear. I asked you why, knowing you were financially secure, why you don't leave. And of course, the answer is fear. Like I asked you, but when you said it, I'm like, yeah, of course. Because I kept forgetting also the timing. Like you were a new dad in a global pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't know, all the things in
Yeah.
one moment.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because, yeah, what I've realized is that all these moves that we made, my wife and I, feel like it was preparation for this change, right? It's like we built the muscle around like letting go of our old selves and old lives and releasing expectations of others and how they show up and releasing the expectations that we had of ourselves for what we do for other people. We started our own practice of developing our liberation, right? And it took one move at a time. First it was Netflix, and then it was Amazon, and then it was Google, and then finally it was like Costa Rica.
As you're saying that, it makes sense. But also, when we were talking about your moves from Netflix to Amazon to Google, that always, the way I was seeing it was very much all in service to getting to Google. But now that you, in hindsight, see the whole story, like it makes sense, right? We're making these changes to be, become, hopefully, more of who we really are. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, like we're here now. I don't know if this is, I highly doubt this is like the end of the road, right? This is where we're here now and we're here for reasons, but there's likely going to be some other part of our journey. And then it'll make Costa Rica make more sense, you
Right.
know? It's all a great unfolding. But yeah, it's wild to think that despite being a new dad, being a relatively new coach, new CEO, that we still made the change. That was big fear that we moved through. Big fear. And in that, there's big liberation on the other end.
That's very beautiful. How were you able to get through, I said what a mind fuck, but really, I feel like when you're going through something as intense, you were being investigated. Like I even see it in my own experience. When I left my job, I was told many things about myself that I didn't think were true, but negative things that I didn't think were true, but that because I was being told that, I started to, I don't want to say embrace it because that sounds positive. No, but like they started to really sink in and I started to absorb them. And to this day, I still have not been fully able to let go. And I've just noticed that a few weeks ago as I was thinking of some things and what I'm doing and what I want to do. And it's like, there's this still part of me that believes that narrative. And so I'm wondering how you got to be able to leave that behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's a very real experience. Short answer I'll give you is having amazing support. Like I had a coach at the time throughout all of this. I've had the same therapist for what year is it? Like 14 years, which is wild. It's like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
maybe 13 years, 13 years. And I have my wife.
Yeah.
And my wife she is so stubbornly supportive of me. Anyone who looks at me sideways, my wife is ready to like bite their head off. Like she's my little pit bull.
Did you say she was from El Salvador?
She's El Salvadorian. Yeah, she's Salvadorian.
That's
like,
why.
Yeah.
We're a special breed.
And she's an Aries. Yeah. She's everything. She's everything. And she's also a psychotherapist. So she can, I'm going to use my language, like she can see through the bullshit better than I can. So she sees people giving me narratives and she's like, no, fuck that. That's not you. You're a good person. You mean well. You're well intentioned. I needed that because I have this part of myself, the same part of me that got me into suicidal depression that can be really mean to myself. And then when you have other people being mean to you, that part of you wants to latch on.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Give me more of that nasty negativity because I like that. That makes that part of me feel good.
Yeah.
Right. But my wife, my therapist, my coach all helped keep me from ever going back to that place. But it was really tough. And with all the support and with all the capacity that I had built and all the work that I'd done all the years, that investigation really threw me for a loop. It was a very tough time. But my support, I'd say, long story short, that's what helped me keep my head above water and stay afloat to be able to make the choices that I made.
Yeah. It's massively important. Everyone should have a therapist. At least one.
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist, a coach, and like
I think
whatever else you
both.
need.
I think
Yeah.
I think if you are trying to make big change in your life, both at all times. And if you're done making change, then yeah, maybe you let go. But if you're trying to do something big, move to a new country, quit your job, or both, or become a parent, anything that's like transformational, both coach and therapist, I think I don't want to say required, but just really wise investments.
When we talked last time, you said a phrase that really, it stuck with me. You said you would like to see this thing, what you're building, as an underground railroad for corporate leaders. And I was like, that is so on brand on the spiritual abolitionist, by the way, but also it makes sense in the sense that people are, I think there's a movement from people changing from what, or at least being tired of this bullshit, because there's no other way of calling it.
Yeah. Man, I was like, we talked a while ago. I forgot all that I shared in that conversation.
Yeah, I pulled out my notes. I told you I was
love
like
it.
looking.
I love it. Yes, I have had this again along these lines of being a spiritual abolitionist. I have this idea for offerings for that come through consciously that support people to get to where they want to get to. It's just more about like where you're moving towards, less about what you're moving away from. As I've been on this journey for myself, I'm realizing that like work gives meaning and purpose, but it doesn't give all meaning and all purpose. And full-time work, especially when you work in environments like I worked in, they are so demanding. They require so much time and energy that it makes it really difficult for you to express and honor other parts of yourself. It makes it difficult for leaders to be great parents, and which to me is the most important leadership role you're ever given. And so what I want to do is support people to become who they want to become and express their purpose in all the ways that like bring them joy and have the time and energy to do so. And so when I talk about the Underground Railroad, like the program is in my mind. I've had this, it's probably not going to be called this, but maybe
Makes
it will
sense,
be.
but
But it's the program is called Harriet in my mind.
aw.
The program will be, and it doesn't exist yet, but it will be in service to that work, right? Which is to support people to get to their sense of liberation, whatever that looks like and feels like. That is what I want to be able to bring to the world, because to your point, I think mass amounts of people are waking up. And like the same wake up that I had back in 2013, 2014, 2015, a lot of people are having now, realizing that they're in a place where like they're miserable, and the environment that they're in is like not supportive of them being who they're meant to be, and is making it really difficult. It's not stopping them, but it's making it difficult for them to walk that journey towards the future that they want for themselves. And so consciously will play a major role in supporting hundreds, hopefully thousands, maybe even millions of people to walk that path towards liberation.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like the world is moving so fast in so many ways. I was reading an article today on AI and what's coming. And it just kind of freaked me out because I know this, but again, what does that mean for all of us? What does it mean both in what you said, we do get meaning from work. So what does it mean when just the way work, what we do, even the things that we do may not exist anymore?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think about that. I think about that a lot. Okay, to go a little dark.
yeah.
I that is probably the biggest concern that I have. When work is taken away, if work is all that you are, or it's all that you think you are,
Good distinction.
then when it's taken away, you will lose your sense of self. And so that's going to happen. It's happening, and it's going to happen to many more people in the relatively near future. And that scares me, that concerns me, because I've been to that place. I've been to that place, and it's a tough place to be. And some people will make it through and some people won't. And that breaks my heart to know that. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to support? And that's to me like what I'm here to do. Like what this work is, to help people realize that they're more than work. You are not your job, right? Like you are so much more expansive than your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Your 9 to 5 is just something that you did, that you spent a lot of time on. It maybe brought you a little bit of meaning and a little bit of purpose or fulfillment, but it's not everything. And helping people see as many dimensions of themselves as they're willing to look at and explore them, right? Explore, okay, let me spend some time on this and let me dabble here. And then maybe I can figure out a way to make some money doing the things that I really like to do versus the things that like I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, right? And to me, that's actually really exciting and inspiring because we have all these tools available to us now that we didn't have available to us before. It's like building and creating can be so much more rapid, right? All we got to do is get clear on like where we want to explore and where we want to go. And then we have all these tools to help us get there. So there's two sides to this coin,
Yeah.
but I'm focused on helping people like through it, knowing that it's going to be a tough time. It's a tough time for many. And if you're doing the work, I think there's a much, much brighter side for many people in the future.
Yeah,
But
I hope so.
we're going to have to go through that dip, just like you and I have been through.
Yeah. I hope so. Getting clear is hard. Getting clear is it's very hard.
It is work. It is work. And it doesn't happen overnight. And even if you get clear like I did, I knew what I wanted in 2015. And then 2022 came and I had everything I wanted. And I was still terrified to make the choice. Like, that's how hard it can be. So I try my best not to like paint a super rosy picture for these journeys. This is hard stuff.
Yeah.
This is why most people don't do it, because
Yeah.
it's hard.
You said right now you had very clear in your mind, you had clarity about what you wanted in 2015, but you had never, I think you said this, you had never been asked, what do you want? And I wonder if that's the first thing. Like, what is the first thing we should do if we want to get that clarity? And
That
maybe it is just asking yourself, what do you want? And answering it without censoring. Because I do think we might I ask myself that all the time.
yeah.
But then immediately start listing all the reasons why it might be unrealistic or all the other things, which is so, as I'm like making sense of this as I talk, because I tell my students, I teach design thinking, and I tell my students every time, just say the thing, defer judgment. And yeah.
Yeah. That question to me is the foundation of coaching, right? It's asking people, what do you want, in a million different ways, at a million different points, right? And then supporting them to move towards it. If I could simplify coaching, that's it. The work is becoming the person that gets what you want. That's like the real work. Moving through fear, developing courage, developing capabilities. But answering that question, like that to me is the quintessential question in coaching. It's what do you want? Okay, let's go.
Let's go. I always ask my guests what they could go back and tell themselves, but I pick different times in their lives. So I'm going to ask you in 2 times.
Okay.
One, back when you first finally had that question and a moment to think about it, 2015, I would say, maybe. Could be even a little earlier when you were in a darker spot. And 2, during the investigation. Yeah, I don't make it easy.
No, man, it almost makes me emotional thinking about the second one. So I'll answer the first one. Yeah. From this place, what would I say to that part of me in 2015? You will be grateful for this really difficult time. One day, you will be super grateful for this time, and the lessons you learn from this will be some of the greatest gifts you have to offer the world. It makes me emotional. Yeah. And what would I say to a part of me going through the investigation? These people have no idea who you truly are. They have no idea.
They didn't. Thank you for being so open. And for all the work you're doing, I do think that we need more people who can help bring everyone into where we want to go.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for this conversation, your presence, and the way in which you kind of hold this conversation. It's masterful.
Aw, thank you. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if it made you think, feel something, or yell "same" out loud, leave a quick rating or review. It really helps. If you didn't like it, just pretend this never happened. You can also subscribe on Substack for updates and extras. I'd love to hear from you. Come say hi on Instagram at quitmyjobpod or email me at quitmyjobpod@gmail.com. See you next time.